So I'm not sure anything happened since last week on this repo. Nothing happened, which is good in a way. Then we can focus on our thread core. Well, nothing happened because we didn't merge anything, maybe. So, my bad. Sam, is that you on GitHub that sometimes, sorry, Gitter that sometimes asks questions every few days? I think there is a Sam. It is. Where are you from? Show me your website. I want to see the website you are working on. I don't have Gitter. I have a new computer and don't have Gitter. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Wow. You actually provided a link. I didn't expect that, but good. Thank you. Beautiful. It's green like the agency. It smells like a template to me. So, why is it going on the side? I don't know. But if I do F5 and I click that, and you're not cheating, it's really altered. I'm not sure how much is generated by the CMS because it looks like a template, but it's really altered. You should make a recipe from that and sell it to all the builders. You even have stock pictures, like this is a good template with stock pictures. Funny. Look at that. So many Sams. Awesome. Thank you. So I see that you started from a template. I like it. I don't know why I was saying that. Oh, maybe because I was just checking was there, and that's it. Okay. So pulling that, lots of commits, so many commits. Not that much actually. So on the dev branch, which is the left one, we have use proper bootstrap for classes. For the logging, remember my checkbox, we saw that last week. Allows core shapes to be overridden. So an issue, little bug I think with content parts. No. It's like we need to add another kind of feature that has some kind of priority. Well, we need to add a default feature so that if we want to provide some core shapes, meaning shapes that come from code, we need to be able to assign them sometimes from projects to modules to a custom feature, and this is what this PR is adding, a default feature called what? Application default. In this case, this is the ID, and also he created a constant for the name of the applications feature, which it has priority over everything. And then you see application.default feature ID. So that from a project, if you have stuff to register, you can define what is the feature that will own these elements. And if you just don't have any feature because you're from a project, then you can assign it to default feature ID. That's the trick. Prettify users pages, so with lots of prettification from Hisham. There will be some changes later on those commits to show that, but it's like standardizing the bootstrap tagging and also how the filters should look like, and toolbars. Performance tweaks from Marco Lama, the author of Quartz.net, and he's very good at performance tweaking. He's done that a lot on Gint to make it much faster, and now he's starting with Orchard, and he has so much work on that. but at the same time it will be so easy to make it faster. Some components are not really optimized, even though we are very happy with the current perf. He created a benchmarks project, so you can run some benchmarking classes to see if your changes will improve, some micro benchmarks. And in this case, he improved the running shell table by using index of instead of contains, the file providers, I think mostly, trying to remove all the link he could find that was unnecessary, or dynamic typing when it was not necessary. You see dynamic removed also here. Dynamic using the correct, so we're using the lambdas as a static lambda method. Inlining when it's necessary to be inlined, removing link also mostly, or not calling stuff that doesn't have to be called. Like he also worked a lot in the ImageSharp performance. Then migration to .NET Core 3.0 has been merged, so now we are using 3.0, and people have been fixing bugs related to that change, which means you need okay, so I need to mention that. If you were on 2.2 before and you want to go on 3.0, you will need to install, as of today, the .NET SDK 3.0 RC1. But you can still use the 2.2 version because we pinned the packages, the last packages that were built on Migrate. So if I go there, in the in the issues, and I check milestone RC, the first one should be that one, and I am not sure, but yes, it is. So thank you, Jean-Philippe. If you want to still use the 2.2 version, because you can't migrate to 3.0 right now, even though there should just be a matter of updating the SDK, everything else should work, minus some maybe breaking changes in the name of namespaces or classes, but everything should still work. You don't have to restart your site, the site will migrate by itself. So if we go on, so with this version, and I go to the Migrate feed, CMS target beta 3 72572, and the version we want is 72452. So if I go at all package history here, you see 452. Even though all these ones are kept, like we keep like around 10 versions, and then they are deleted automatically by Migrate, this one is pinned, so it won't be deleted. Okay, so September 11. So you can point to this version explicitly, and it won't be deleted on Migrate. It will be the last one that supports 2.2. So that's for the update on 3.0. Then fixing the build, because the build was broken. Removing some files that were merged by mistake, content part creation, regression fix, all the regressions, better roles page, fix on the NotFound. There are so many fixes due to the 3.0 change once people were testing it. Matthias fixing some CSS for the media. Antoine updating all the dependencies that have newer versions, or that work with the 3.0 version of ASP.NET. Fixes razor pages and autoroute conflicts, again due to 3.0. Update MediaField-Attached.Edit. What is that? Oh, there was an issue with the insert button, I think. AddInitialRequestCultureProvider, which is a new feature in ASP.NET 3.0 that replaces this code, which is integrated by ASP.NET 3.0. Update ImageProvider to work better with new ImageSharp version. So new ImageSharp version. Adding an ISartupFilter to be able to inject a middleware before routing to handle the diagnostics pages like error or not found. CultureAspect must work for localization and content localization module. The idea was that the CultureAspect, which is what can provide the culture of a content item, had wrong defaults and would not work if you didn't have the localization module enabled. So now it's fixed. Fixes HomeRoute if no HomeRoute because of 3.0. Fixed permission issue with PublishContent. Because so in this case, so the idea is that as opposed to Orchard 1 where we created a create permission, we still don't want to do that in Orchard Core as long as we don't have to. And to check if someone can create, you just create a new content item of the type and you say, can you edit the content? But if you want to check if the user can create and publish, in this case we will check for publish content on a dummy content item, which is in memory, and we need to assign the ownership to the current user so that we can check that, so it will have the ownership, so it can create and publish its own content in this case. Okay, that was the case here. vscode launch.json 4.3.0. Debug here and release there. Big changes from Din to make it better in how the settings are stored. So is there actually an update? I was wondering this morning on the readmes, because I think sometimes we provide some samples in the readme for these kind of recipes, for instance, and maybe these needs to be changed. But the idea is that there were some places where settings were not under the settings property, or like here you see here content type settings. Now everything is like namespace. There is a settings property, and then if the settings is for this type, this is this type that is under settings, so there can't be any conflicts between all settings. That's the idea. See, content type part settings under settings, and before position was there. Also we can support now the booleans instead of just strings, but this was a previous change. So reorganizing all the settings under their correct path. It was working before, but now it's cleaner, more stable, and there won't be any conflicts between settings. And this PR is a huge change because you need to change the code to call the correct helpers. Let me show you some example. Here you see you don't do settings to object blah blah blah. This one would actually be good, but get settings, which will create a property of this type and serialize this type. Well, the opposite. Get the property for this type and deserialize this type. Okay, so that's better. So that change, and also the fact that there are lots of migrations to apply, so that the existing settings are forwarded to the new format and nothing is broken, but something has been broken apparently. We'll see how it goes. So do a backup before you update to dev, if it's not too late, the content definition file on the app data, just in case we find an issue and we can fix it, and then you can reapply the migrations. More optimizations from Marco on the resource manager this time, mostly to remove link usage, plus a benchmark. Fixing that, then updating default logging settings. This is because we were not using the defaults, and look at that. I had to do a console write line application started to be able to detect that the application was started, because without that we would just start the console app and nothing will be displayed in the output, so we didn't know if the app was running and where it was running, on which port and which IP. So I just apply the default values for logging that SPLNet sets in its templates, which is to use Microsoft Hosting Lifetime information, such that when you start the server, the IP and the port will be displayed. Okay, that's what is required to display that, because by default it's information level. And just for that, because you don't want information for everything. Otherwise you will have console logging for all the requests, and it will slow down the application like crazy and remove some stuff that was not necessary in this case. So just updating the templates and also updating the app settings and the templates with the app settings when you generate a project. Backup the data migration record from the database. It will be harder. Backup your database and backup your content type definition. That's the trick. Add default paging to GraphQL queries, so super important for security, DDoSing. The idea is that, let's look at the documentation. We have 3 different new properties. Default number of results 100. So if you don't say first or last in your queries, we will limit the results to 100. Then if you define first or last, like you want the first 2,000 content items, we will block you and just limit it to 1,000. Okay. The idea is that if by mistake you didn't provide a first or last, and one day you have so many results that it will slow down your system considerably, you should always page your queries. Otherwise you could load everything on the memory on the server, and then if you have multiple clients you will get out of memory or the performance will be slow. So we limit by default as a security feature, but you can change that. And then if by mistake someone sets a default sets a value which is too big, then we will limit it to 1,000. And then if that happens, you can define what's happening. You could either there are 3 options here. Default will be looking at the current environment, like is it development or production. In development you will see an error, okay, and it will be logged. And in production you will see a warning, but it won't break. Okay, it won't break the site. You just see a warning saying, okay, we limit it to 1,000 even though the user requested 2,000. Okay, and so default it will be based on environment, but there is also enabled and disabled. Enabled will display the enable will error, and disable won't error. It will just display a warning in the console. That's the idea. This way you can change everything. And if you don't like these values, you can just change them in the settings. Oh, it's actually explained. You see default, enabled, disabled. In disabled, info will be logged and only the max number of results will be returned. Enabled, a GraphQL validation error will be raised, and this will be forwarded to the client, so the client will know what's happening. So from Carl, thank you Carl, updating dependencies to RC1, because right after preview 9 we got an RC1. And the next version will be the final version 3.0.1 on Monday, because this is the official announcement. LangVersion properties, the more necessary in the new projects, the preview version here for C#. Page endpoint priority fixing issue with 3.0. Just fixing some ContentPickerField issues related to events. I didn't understand what, but Jean-Philippe and him agreed, so okay. Add alert if no recipe is found in search results. So the idea is that there is a new little alert box when you do some searches that should return some results and there is no results. So there is a little warning on different pages. And that's it. Questions? Demos. Do we have demos? No demos. That's good. So topics, I noted a bunch of topics already. First, RC bugs. Well, RC. So we'll ship the RC on Monday. I don't expect to delay it, maybe on Tuesday, but I don't see a reason why we should not target Monday. So it should be on Monday, at least after .NET 3.0 is released, so we can update the dependencies and build the thing. So yeah, maybe late Monday. We'll have to wait for 3.0 first. So around Monday night, okay, we'll be able to ship everything, and it will be on NuGet.org. And so let me be clear. Control Z, RC. Let's see RC release to see to. So I will just think out loud and we'll see if everything will be good. So this is RC release. The 1.0 will follow after that, RTM, and the version will be, the package will be Orchard Core. So right now, if I go NuGet, just to be sure, I don't want to make any mistake. Orchard Core. So right now the version is, there was a mishap with the publisher. I think we merged in master by mistake. So it's called Orchard Core. This is the package right now, and the next one will be Orchard Core, the RC1 1.0.0. But that's not the package value. That's a version. Okay. Orchard Core 1.0.0 dash RC and dash a number, which I will, so I need to note that tasks before merging to master reset build number to, okay, because right now we were increasing the build number for every build, so even the PR. So now I change it to increase only when we merge to dev, so it doesn't increase that much. But we want to start with a version like this, okay, because then every PR on the dev branch will be increased by 1. Why we do want to start like this is because otherwise it will be 1, 2, 3, which are greater than, so 1 is, well, 9 will be greater than 10. Okay, so that's why we start with a padding like this. So this will be the release RC, or should we call it RC1, just in case. I think that's safe to say RC1, and then we can jump to the 1.0.0 if we want. That's safer, the same way we have padding here. This is better to say that. Please comment if you agree, disagree. If you don't have an opinion, just don't say anything. And that's okay. And I want to reset that because we can reset once we change it here. So that's good. RC release. What else? So this will be on NuGet. We need to update the templates, the documentation. It will be merged. Update templates. Update ASP.NET package references. What else? There will be a blog announcement. We can, so blog announcement, we can have one on the ASP.NET site. Okay. The issue is that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be the .NET and the new release of .NET Core 3.0, so it will be like hidden around all these announcements. So we could do an announcement and nobody will push it on ASP.NET until next week because everyone is busy with the conference. So blog announcement ASP.NET website, I assume right after the NetConf. Okay. That release will update try.orchardcore.net. Okay, I will note that. Update try.orchardproject.net. Better to update this one. Okay. What else? Merge to master and everything should be automatic. Updating documentation. A good thing is that the documentation can be updated after the merge to master. This way we'll have the exact correct value, or we can do the dash star like we did. Might be better. Translations meta package. What did we do? So merge translation meta packages. Do we have that in the recipe in the CMS project already? Is it linked, or is it just an issue right now? Not yet. Is there an issue? I think I created an issue. Okay, I will find an issue. I'm sure I created an issue. I'm sure I even mentioned where it should be. So add, or maybe we just talked about it. Translation meta package to cms.targets. So just to repeat what we said last week, in case some people didn't see that. So we have Orchard Core / translations. So we have this repository that generates the NuGet packages containing all the translations, okay, for each language, and we also have a meta package .all that references all the translations. And I think it's a good idea to ship the default template with the default CMS template, the default CMS package that we have to generate a CMS, also with a link to these packages, so we have all the existing translation available. The same way when you, when you install a UI, you can already translate it. You don't have to download any other package, at least for the CMS target. Okay. And the other target we have, which is called the core.target, that doesn't point to the themes, should not also point to the languages. And then people will be able to add a theme and add the languages they need. Because the goal of the core target is not to include everything. So if it's not necessary, you don't have to deploy it. So, okay, and not in the core.targets. Makes sense? Okay, milestone RC. Zero. I will assign Antoine. That's not what I wanted to do. Antoine, if you don't like it, you can remove yourself. But it should be easy to do. Just the CSproj file. And that should work out of the box, because it's already deployed on Migrate on the same feed as the orchard core packages, and once we merge to master, then it will also be available on NuGet, so that will work also. Submit new issue. Okay.
But it's from another repository.
I didn't understand.
It's from another repository.
Yes, but that goes on Migrate. The same orchard core preview on Migrate.
Okay.
So what you will? Oh, I see. So this, I see. The only thing
is built first.
It won't matter. I see. So it might not find it. That's what to say. No, that's okay because it will be like a package reference. You just do a dash star. You don't need to do a dash star actually. You can just reference. No, you need to do a dash star. It's do a dash star, but it's a package reference, not a project reference. Yeah, let's try a package reference. It will find it because it's on the same orchard preview field. And once we merge a master, it will also find it. That should work. We'll see. So merge translation with package. Here. Then I think that's it. Documentations, and then post RC. Post RC will have documentation. Okay. We'll have more time to write the guides. Like someone said, they will write a guide to translate, to show how to create multilingual websites, for instance, the agency. So we'll see. That's mostly that. Plus some features we can take, not risky. I'm not opposed to adding new features as long as they can just break themselves. So it's okay to have a new feature that is broken than adding something that can break existing features. Okay, and test fixing bugs, because once we ship RC, lots of bugs will appear, and also the existing ones. Talking about the existing ones, the goal here is that we still have 22 issues open for RC, and I'm not concerned at all because let's look at all the 22 issues triaged for RC. This is just a thread to talk about the 3.0 update and what we find that is not working. Okay, and this is, I assume, already everything has been resolved. Disabling module should disable content parts defined in the module. Yes, nothing is breaking. It's just, for instance, if you enable the flows module, then it will create a flow part. And if you disable the flows module, it won't remove the flow part. And there are advantages and pros and cons for that. The big issue is that if we remove the flow part, if you had content items with it, what do? It will break if you edit this content item. So it's better if we keep it and it won't edit it actually, because it won't find an editor for that, but the part will still exist. So it's not a big issue, and I think we don't do that either in Orchard 1. That could be handled case by case by implementing the uninstall migration, but I'm not even sure about what to do in this case. So put that by the parts around. We don't have to delete the content items using these. So I will just postpone this one. think about it. Okay, wrong localization technique. I assigned it to myself because Mathis provided a PR, but to fix the issue is that some text. What was the issue? Yeah, the reCAPTCHA module is not localized, and we have a way to localize it because reCAPTCHA JavaScript comes with all localization. We just need to flow the current request local to this JavaScript. But the way he did that, I think, is not the best. So I will change that. It will be simpler and more flexible. So I said I will do that, so I will. So this should be easy to fix, and there is also already a PR. I just need to refactor the PR. Guidance and stateless configuration. This is an active issue, so that we can either document how to support multiple instances on Azure or otherwise by providing a default tenants, or let's say shell settings manager, so that we can manage the tenants and share these. So this works on Azure websites because the file system is shared across nodes, but if you don't have a shared folder, then it doesn't work. So we need to provide a solution for that. Worst case, we'll do that for 1.0. So I'm not concerned. Taxonomy deployment plans is just that we had an issue a long time ago that when we run taxonomies in a recipe, it didn't work. We have to check that. Rendering style sheets with tag helper from widgets. I think there is an issue, but not critical. This I didn't understand the issue, but we have a PR. Content handlers discussion. I don't remember what it is. I will check. Your website, so this one, and also I assume everything that is rated to listen. Two of these are dependent on some PRs that Jasmine has. Almost ready. Duplicate record errors in workflows should be fixed with an update of SQL, so I think we just need to try to repro it. Import export module with iScoped index provider primarily constraint violation. I think this is also related to that thing, workflows. Lucene, we saw that. Manipulating roles to elevate your permissions. We have a PR for that. The idea is that when a permission is security sensitive, meaning you can assign it, but if you assign it, the user might be able to elevate the permission to admin permissions, like running a recipe. Allowing to run recipes, let the user run some things that could elevate his permissions. Same thing for running a workflow, assigning roles. So this permission should be displayed in the UI with warning to say this is good to limit the UI to the user to do some things or to show something or to hide some things, but it will also allow the user to do more than just that. So be careful when you assign it. It's equivalent to giving admin permissions. It's just by not giving admin permissions, you won't show everything in the menu, but technically they can go to admin if you don't want. List content items permission error, I don't know, I have to check. Wells to widgets within container widgets, so widgets issues, container widgets. Not critical because most users don't have the issue or don't have an issue by using the widgets. Replace menu tag helper with a more generic one. I assigned Jean-Philippe because he said he will do that. The idea is that instead of having the menu shape that can render a menu, we will have a content item shape that can render a menu the same way the menu shape does it, but for any content item. Security sensitive permission. The same thing. Oh, that's different, but that's related because, yeah, if you edit roles, you can give yourself the code permission. That's the idea. This is username validation. So if you type a username, it will fail on the server side. We should validate the username early. Content definition records and other names are confusing. I created a PR to change the name content type definition record to content type definition document. It's better to do it now. My PR is not breaking because it will also still read the old value in the JSON document, just assign it to the document property. This I need to understand what's the issue because the fix was actually breaking the feature that is designed to do. Refactor content part registration using options. This is the one I talked to you, Bertrand, about yesterday. The idea is that today, if we have content parts, we need to register them in the DI, and with a DI to say, oh, there is a content part available. But we want to register a type, but in the DI we register the type, but we'll get an instance. It's kind of weird and to use a DI for that. So the idea is that instead of that, we should have an option, content type options, where we can add parts, add fields also, why not? And then this is where we'll have all the available parts, and maybe also we can add metadata to that if we want, such that we don't have to use a DI to do that. It will be also faster and can be extended because the DI just have a type. Here we can have more than just a type if we want for each part.
So does this mean that anybody who exposes new fields or parts should switch to that method?
Yes.
Okay.
That will be a breaking change, unless we check for the two of them. Like, oh, let's try to DI, and also let's try to use this option.
One question though, I had already written the code that retrieves all available field types using DI by just injecting everything that is content field.
Yep.
What do I replace that with now?
Well, if it's done, it will, instead of injecting an IEnumerable of content field, you will inject IOption content type options, and it will have a property .field, which will contain all the field types directly. So that
makes sense. That's perfect.
And in theory, if we can add metadata to each registration, you could even mark some fields when you register them as product field. So you could say, oh, give me the product field, and don't require a base type, for instance. So
okay, keep me posted on that.
Yeah, so that we'll see.
Okay, thanks.
So you see this way, like add part with content handler, so we could, yeah, that I will look into that. And we should be able to make it non-breaking. So if you still have some parts registered with the DI, it should still be able to work. It should be doable. Worst case, it will be a compilation issue and the fix will be easy. Refactor content part registration, and then render a content item to index its content. It's related to, again, I don't know why I assigned it to me, because a long time ago, but this is what Jasma has done with the full text. The full text field, which actually should be a full text aspect or a content item metadata aspect with a full text property that anything can provide, but he already knows, it's commented on his PR. So that's it for all the RC issues, and nothing, in my opinion, is critical because we have so many sites running on prod without any issue that I'm confident with this release. Worst case, we can postpone to 1.0 or to 1x11. Questions? Which one, Dean, are you talking about? What did I miss? content options. Oh, yeah, sure, if you want. The idea at least. And actually, this is this design. If you want an ID, script did this for the Lucene analyzers. Can you confirm, Jasmin? I said script. Well, Jasmin. Is Jasmin here? Yeah. I think that's what you did, because I told you do it this way, because instead of doing the same issue, the same mistake that we did, do it correctly with options in the first place. Also, yeah, okay, yeah, that's why I was too late. When I created the issue, you see, 2017, I remembered when we designed the other parts to do that the correct way instead of using the I. You should not use the I for these kind of things. And because it's potentially breaking, I prefer to do it now. It's to break everyone now than when modules are published on NuGet, and you still need to do it though. No, I'm sure. I think you had that. We'll see. I think you have it already in the options. I think I saw that. Okay. So my ask would be that if you want to do anything, please first check this list and try to focus on one. And then if you think we can't do that, then we'll postpone. If you want to help Jasmin with his PRs, you can also help him, because he's busy and he has 3 assigned to him. And we would like to get his PRs. The work is not much to do to finish that, but he could use some help, I'm sure. But please feel free to take anything here, or to ask questions, to ping me, to Skype me if you want to work on something and you want to solve that and know what to do if it's not obvious. Always available to help anyone that wants to contribute. So RC, what did I say? RC bugs. If you just want to test features, that's also good, because by testing we'll ensure it works, or we'll find issues we didn't think about. And just not the CMS, but the other recipes. You can add also functional tests. We'll merge the Cypress test probably after the RC. I don't want to merge it now. It's too risky. We already have some functional test infrastructure. EF packages, that's something to test. We have EF packages that are used by OpenID to provide other storage for the OpenID modules. We might have to remove these packages and optionally OpenID. So we have to check that OpenID works, but I think it works. My thesis is using them, so I assume it works, but I haven't tried it. So we need to try OpenID that it still works. Yeah, I assume it will work. There is no reason it should not work. Oh, because of ASP.NET 3.0. Okay, so Kevin asked me to check OpenID because the ASP.NET 3.0 might have some breaking changes with the OpenID versions we are using, because it's still working on the 3.0 version. And in parallel, we might need to remove the EF packages for now, because they are based on 2.2 and they are requiring the 1.6.1 net standard package that prevents us from that makes us have to reference some packages we don't need to. So if we can remove this version of EF, we can remove the reference to net standard library 1.6.1. I might have to check that myself, but that's an issue to look into. EF packages, OpenID. I will file an issue. I clicked something. Okay. What I miss? I missed something about Elasticsearch. You haven't, because it's after topics. Elasticsearch, if someone has nothing to do, but you must have something to do because you are focused on RC. There was an article this morning in Live ASP.NET explaining how to use Elasticsearch, and there is a .NET library to use it directly, to create indices and to query it using LINQ. Very nice. So just an idea, if someone wants to create a module for Elasticsearch instead of Lucene, to provide querying, to provide indexing and everything, that's something that is open. I will find an issue. Do we have an issue? Okay. Milestone 110x. The idea is being able to scale out your sites when they depend on Lucene. Better scale out. Okay. And .NET-Conf, so there is .NET-Conf on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and so we have a session. I have a session. If somebody knows, .NET-Conf. .NET-Conf agenda. Can't be found. I can't be found. So bad. Maybe because of the dude. I sent him an email. He said yes, we did it. They didn't. They just changed this page. What's the point? Okay, so there. Where is the talk? How do we know? That's weird. Oh, that's just a link to the speaker. Oh, there is just that. Okay. Building modular multi-tenant ASP.NET Core apps with Orchard Core framework. Okay, the framework itself, how to build modular applications and multi-tenant in ASP.NET. Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, which means here right now it's 1 p.m. so you will do the math, but it's Tuesday. So feel free to join me to see what it is, and it's just like everyone, 25 minutes plus 5-minute questions. Yes, I told them to fix it and they said they fixed it, but they didn't, everywhere at least. So I will send them again an email. Copy paste, not hard. That's it. So there is that, and it's on Tuesday, so there will be Orchard Core version of NuGet on NuGet that I will use. And that's it. Questions? Sam, when your site is public, don't forget to give us the link. I will add it to my own personal list of sites. Okay, good then. On time. I think I've used all the topics I had, and so let's meet again on Thursday for a triage, mostly focus on RC, I assume, and otherwise next Tuesday, because we have a meeting before the demo I will give for the .NET-Conf. All good? Thank you everyone. See you next time.